Okay, so you guys really seem to like Ned. Ned was cool. Ned was good. People liked Ned. Somebody actually used Ned and then reported back to me in the comments months later about their usage of Ned and putting Ned into their world. That made me cry. I'm not even kidding. That did make me tear up. But I figured that since you guys like my NPCs that have purpose, I would give you another one of my NPCs. It's actually my favorite NPC. And they too, just like Ned has like an eventual plot, an eventual purpose, an eventual like side quest and love them and care for them and then crush the player's feelings. This too also has a bigger picture to this character. So I would like to introduce you to Julian, the wind that swept the blossoms away. First of all, what is Julian? Julian is an archfey, essentially, but it's a little more complicated than that. See, in my world, in my mind, archfays duel each other. They have the wilds, okay? The wilds of the wilderness of the Feywild, and it's all evil and like trying to trick you and blah, 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 right? Okay, so the wilds are bad. There are archfays that come in and then tame parts of the wild and then make that safe haven in exchange for like, you are now my charge, you are now a piece of my world, right? And so Julian was one of these archfays who had come into a piece of the Feywild and had tamed it, made a home for himself, and others started using the home and pledging servitude to Julian as their master, as their archfey, right? So he had this little home and he was just chilling and everything was good, and along comes the priestess. Now, the priestess is another archfey that I come up with that's in my world, but you can use whatever archfey works for you. And in the archfey society, in archfey lore, an archfey can approach another archfey and say, hey, give me your land, let's duel. And they will duel, and whoever loses goes and finds more land, and whoever wins gets the land that is already tamed, because it's really, really difficult to tame the Feywild. Yeah. So what happens is the priestess comes to Julian and says, hey, I want to duel you for your land. The Julian, of course, accepts, and he loses. He actually ends up losing fair and square, no cheating, whatever. You like it? Well, the priestess doesn't do exactly the thing that you're supposed to do, which is to let the person walk off into the wilderness in the walk of shame. No. See, she doesn't want the competition to come back. She doesn't want the competition at all. She has greater, powerful ideas, which is to rule the entire Feywild, which is a problem on its own. But she wants to claim the entire Feywild and rule the entire Feywild. So what she does is she banishes him. She curses him into the body of a fox who has horns like a jackalope, into the body of a fox, and then banishes him to the material plane to live out the rest of his archfey days. Now, he lives as long as an archfey lives, which means forever, but he is now trapped in the body of a fox with horns. One quick thing before we move on that is very, very important. The only way to undo the curse that the archfey put on Julian is that you need to use the wish spell on it. You need to wish spell that the curse is removed. Also, in some cases, I do allow him to use cantrips, but in most situations that I use him in, he has no magical ability. But in most cases, I really try to avoid Julian being a DMPC. Julian is not a DMPC. In fact, I made Julian to stop having to have a DMPC because DMPCs annoy that of me. So, he sometimes has access to cantrips, but in order to avoid being a DMPC, I've made him essentially useless except knowledge. Let's continue. So Julian gets turned into a fox. The only thing that can change him back is the wish spell, and he gets thrust in the material plane. Where does he end up? It actually depends on what you want and what level you want your players to encounter Julian for the first time. So Julian could be found in the wilderness. He could be found in the wilds. He could be found in the outlands, surviving on his own, having his own little house or something, like in an abandoned house or something like that. Because Julian is an archfey. He not only is he an archfey, but he's a patron for a lot of adventurers. A lot of adventurers, like, submit to him and stuff like that. And so because of that, he's picked up a thing or two about adventuring. He's also adventured himself and had to build his own place in the wild. So building a place in the material plane is easy peasy lemon squeezy to him. The other places that you can find him is on some sort of council. Once again, he is an archfey, so he has tons and tons of time of being alive and tons of knowledge in order to be dissected. So he can be found also, if you're in a little bit higher of a level, on a council of some court member. So some duke, duchess, some lord. The last time that I used Julian, which is in my current campaign, he was in council with the queen, one of the 7 queens of the Latan, which is like a jungle that's like a city-state essentially of Yuan-Ti people. So I typically put him at a lower level, not necessarily like to the Queen of Corinne, like not like that, but like he does counsel people and he does advise, which is kind of where your players come in. So that's great and all, but what does Julian do for the party? Well, first of all, Julian loves adventurers. Adventurers are delicious to him. They are his favored camaraderie. He loves being around adventurers. So anytime an adventuring party kind of comes by or piques his interest, he's probably going to follow them and probably going to ask to hang out with them. One of the things that he offers is just a fountain of knowledge, and also sometimes connections as well, but a fountain of knowledge. Here's the thing though, and the reason why I picked him to be an archfey. It's up to you how long he's been on the material plane. So if you want your player characters to come into contact with something that they don't know and they have no knowledge on, Julian can just be like, I'm from the Feywild, and have no idea what that stuff is. It's kind of a catch-all for DMs to be like, hey, I can give you some knowledge, I can give you some insight, I can give you some intriguing expertise, but I can't necessarily tell you exactly what you're supposed to figure out. So the goal with Julian is for Julian to adventure along with the party through the campaign and offer insights, maybe like the DM speaking through them. I've had to do that before where I'm like, I don't think you should necessarily go in that room. I don't know if you should go in that room. You know what I mean? Just offering insight, offering knowledge, and then also at some points in time, offering connections. I typically make Julian not well connected, but at least enough to where, like, in a former adventuring party, he met and counseled with Lord so-and-so, so I could get you in contact with Lord so-and-so if you wanted me to. That kind of stuff, that kind of like, maybe if your party has hit a dead end and needs some sort of guidance and needs some sort of connection, instead of it coming from Julian, it can come from one of Julian's connections. Does that make sense? So it's kind of the main, well, not the main point of Julian. Hang on a second. The kind of the background of Julian, or like Julian's in with the party, is that he gives a lot of knowledge with a fallback for the DM to say, I don't know anything about that. I've never encountered that before. So like if you wanted to do demons or devils or Yugoloths, if you wanted to do Yugoloths, for example, Julian might have jack shit knowledge about Yugoloths because he maybe has never encountered Yugoloths in his life. You know what I mean? It's just kind of one of those things where he's a really good nudger. Like that's what I like to call them, nudgers. They nudge the player characters in the direction that you think that they should probably go. It's helpful. It's helpful. However, that is not all that Julian is. No. So whenever the players reach a certain level, I am personally doing this at level 10 because I'm literally doing, if you're one of my players, don't fucking watch this part. Whenever you get to players to level 10, that's whenever things start to shift and Julian becomes and blossoms into a little bit more. See, Julian's main goal this entire time is to become an Archfey again, is to become his Sylvan self. And so he doesn't want to be trapped in the body of a fox anymore. And so he tries to train up in his spare time. Well, one of the reasons why he does this is he tries to train up adventuring parties to be strong enough to go and make a request of them. So once something big has happened and all of the things are done and you're level 10 or you're level 12 or whatever, and all of these grandiose schemes of yours have come to fruition and you're coming to the next arc of the campaign, Julian will stop you. Julian will stop you and say, hey guys, can we get together for like a little bit of a meeting? And Julian will present to the party the idea that Julian has a request for them. And that is to find him a wish spell. Whether it's a genie that is willing to do the wish spell, whether it's a scroll of a wish spell, whether it's a wizard who will cast the wish spell, he doesn't care. He just really, really, really wants to stop being a fucking fox. A fox. So he will request of the party to find a wish spell. Now, of course, this is an adventure all on its own, right? Like, this is a fun side quest. This is oh my God, Julian has been helping us out this entire time. Of course we'll help you out, Julian. Plus, then we get an even more powerful ally because you get access to all of your stuff. Oh my God. So you then send your party on an adventure to go find the wish spell for Julian. What you do is up to you. I'm personally doing pirates, but what you do is up to you. But eventually you get your hands on a wish scroll or a person who will do the wish spell or whatever. And Julian gets turned from Julian the Fox to Julian who swept the blossoms away. And that is not the conclusion. That is not the conclusion. Your players will think that that is the conclusion, but that's not the conclusion. See, what happens is that at that exact moment, at that exact time, as soon as Julian goes and becomes his archfey self with his pale pink skin and his pink hair and his deep black eyes, and he's like, I am finally free. Disaster strikes. And some prophecy sets off. And this prophecy prophesizes that the powers that be at the powers that be in the world need to be balanced, right? Everything needs to be balanced. So whenever the power of chaotic good kind of fae, that side opens up and gets too powerful in the material plane. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but the Feywild and the Shadowfell, they took the two extremes of the material plane and they made them their own planes, and that's the Feywild and the Shadowfell. Whenever the power of the Fey gets too powerful in this world, and it's looking like we're needing to cut off the end again, another power will come to balance it. And because this power needs to be broken out to balance it, a great worm from the Shadowfell will emerge into the material plane, finally, as it's been waiting for this moment, to balance the powers that be in the material plane. So because you guys summoned Julian, because Julian is now this all-powerful archfey that's in the world, and he's very, very powerful, the world needs to balance it, so they summon up this great worm. They summon up this horrible great worm named Mortier in my world. I actually have him. This is Mortier. This is the horrible great worm that my players are going to summon. Don't tell them. But your players have now inadvertently made the prophecy happen, made the prophecy activate, and they summon this horrible great worm. But yeah, now your players have a horrible, evil great worm named Mortier to contend with, and that is the main point of Julian. The main point of Julian is actually to summon this great worm so that your players have an even greater foe to fight at level 20. So. Editing Alex here. I also forgot to mention that the summoning of the Great Worm is entirely your player's fault, and the entire kingdom and every one of their allies does blame them for it. So, yeah, there's that too. It's stupid fun. It's stupid fun. He's my favorite character, and I've never been able to pull off his full stuff. This is the first time that I'm actually like getting close to pulling off his stuff, so I'll let you know how it goes. Anyways, that is Julian, the wind that swept the blossoms away. I absolutely love him. He is my favorite character to play. He is much more like posh, but very down to earth. He sounds very posh, but he's very down to earth. He can mingle with both. He can mingle with the high class and the low class. You know what I mean? So I definitely love him. I think that he is one of my favorite characters that I've ever created. And if you want to get a full rundown of Julian's history, he is in Alex's Bombastic Oddities, which is my book, which will be linked in the doobly-doo if you want. I mean, this is essentially what Julian is. This is essentially the plot points for Julian, but to get Julian's full, like, flavor and history, and also to see a picture of him, I would check out the doobly-doo down below. Anyways, I super duper appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you guys coming out and loving my stuff. And I will see you in the next video.